viral video of Maine and Ella Cruz twerking. Must watch. We all know for a fact that Ella Cruz is one of the most popular dancers in her generation. Aside from her acting skills, she also showed her fans that she can groove. In fact, she even did a couple of dance covers and posted it on her YouTube channel. One of Ella's most popular dance covers is the Twerk It Like Miley. After she became an internet sensation, she was then compared to the IA dub of GMA. They've been comparing their acting skills and their talents. And now, Ella Cruz has finally met Maine Mendoza and Alden Richards at the TNT Super Panalo Day that was held at the SMMOA Arena. Ella shared the photos on her Instagram. What's surprising is that Maine Mendoza tried doing Ella's famous twerk dance. They're too cute to handle. Invite you to watch the video. I won't do a Marcos. Wala akong balik maging diktador. Abogado Ako says Duterte amidst the spate of killing. Despite President Rodrigo Duterte's affirmation with regards to his unrelenting and intensified drug war, he denied the possibility of following the footsteps of former President Ferdinand Marcos when he imposed martial law. I won't do a Marcos. Wala akong balik maging diktador. Abogado Ako. They say I like Marcos, I am far from it. I am just doing my duty as president or else I will compromise, he said, speaking before the 128 repatriated OFWs from Saudi Arabia at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, NIA, Terminal 2. He said this in light of his previous threats of declaring martial law if the judiciary insists on opposing him and getting in the way of the drug war. We do not enjoy killing people. I do not enjoy this war. I hate to sign documents that would procure things that would just kill citizens, he admitted. Hindi ito ang larong gusto ko. Maganap ako ng gusto ko ng ibang kaibigan. Huwag young Filipino. Furthermore, he once again emphasized his goal of eradicating illegal drugs in the Philippines in the span of 6 months. In 6 months, I promise the reform. Ang panikamatinding away ko nito a droga. Burami ang patay. Avoid drugs at all costs because it could cost your life too, he said. This drug war, I have started it so I will finish it. Invite you to watch the video. Malay, Jason starting to mend ties? It appears Malay Cantiveros and Jason Francisco are on speaking terms once more following their much-publicized rift, which led to Francisco returning to his hometown in Mindoro. Cantiveros, on her Instagram account on Wednesday, posted a video of their 2-year-old daughter pretending to speak with Francisco over a plastic phone. Binalhan sayanay papa niya ng phone. Tapos tumawag si papa niya at ganyan sila mag-usap, the comedian wrote as the caption, edited. Prior to her latest post, it appeared Cantiveros allowed their daughter to spend time with Francisco as she posted a solo photo of her. She admitted that she missed the two and punctuated her post with hashtags that read, "Me time" and "See you soon." These are the first hints that the couple have started working on their marital problems, born out of Francisco's insecurities over Cantiveros' leading man for an afternoon series. He claimed that the former We Will Survive actress told him that she would only be paired with another actor for the pilot week. Francisco then fanned more speculations about a possible separation after he took over the Instagram account of their daughter and removed Cantiveros' name from the profile. He has not posted anything for over a month. Cantiveros, for her part, have since teared up twice on national television over Francisco, saying that she is willing to fix their marriage. The two have been married since December 2013. Invite you to watch the video. Hit and run, car hits a vendor and smashed his tricycle to bits. Viral. This video has recently getting viral and angered many netizens. Caught in the camera was a hit-and-run incident and it was clear that the aggressor didn't make an effort at all to avoid the accident nor have the heart to go check the victim's condition. In the video, a man in a tricycle was roving around an open gate. According to some speculations, he was selling puto or other delicacies. He was slowing down in front of the gate when a fast car hit his tricycle directly, dragged it and smashed every piece. The car didn't stop at all. Despite the accident, it just went away fast. Fortunately, the man was not severely harmed, but in the video, he was clearly confused at what just happened. Upon realizing that all his tricycle were turned into bits, he just sat there helplessly. This broke the heart of the netizens and made them enraged with the aggressor. Meanwhile, the plate number of the car is yet to be identified by the authorities. Invite you to watch the video. Geek chic specs in focus. Eyewear through the years has taken a turn from a head hassle into becoming somewhat of a fashion accessory. With this in mind, Sunny Studios is expanding its line of existing stylish shades, adding a ton more of options under its recently launched brand, Sunny Specs. However, the new product is more than just about style. As the name suggests, it offers premium prescription eyewear but done the Sunny's way, geek chic specs that would totally rock any look. The concept was created to address the clamor of some of the brand's patrons. In the past years, Sunny's has been around since 2013. People would purchase its frames only to have the lenses replaced with ones with their prescription. People have been doing it for quite some time now, until Sunny's decided to answer the call for stylish prescription glasses in the market. Sunny's Specs currently has 5 stores nationwide, including the Cebu branch. How exactly does it work? One only has to drop by the Sunny's Specs store located at the North Wing, step inside a cubicle where an optometrist checks one's eye prescription, step out and choose a frame to his liking. There are currently 108 styles to choose from, pay the cashier and come back 3-4 hours after to claim one's specs. Getting the system right was really important for us. We didn't want to launch the brand in Cebu until we had perfected it, said Georgina Wilson, Sunny's marketing director. Wilson, with Martin Cagicom, Sunny's creative director, together with members of the Sunny's team, dropped by Cebu to introduce the brand. During an intimate dinner hosted with members of the press and special guests at the Pig and Palm, Wilson, Cagicom and others gamely discussed, among many other things, updates about Sunny's and its plans moving forward. We wanted to make the experience of getting glasses easier and more enjoyable, so we worked with top optometrists for months until we developed our own formula to crafting premium prescription eyewear. Sunny's Specs is located on the upper ground floor of the North Wing, SM City, Cebu. Invite you to watch the video. How Apple helped create Ireland's economies. Real and fantastical. There are 2 equally valid, yet seemingly incompatible, ways of viewing Apple Computer's relationship with Ireland. The first way, which is the one that Apple and the Irish government prefer, is embodied in the Apple campus that sits near the corner of Harbourview Road and Ardcullen, in the Holy Hill Industrial Estate, not far from the centre of Cork. The buildings are filled with employees doing meaningful work. There is a small manufacturing operation, the only factory actually owned by Apple, assembling iMacs. There is a logistics operation, serving Apple stores all over Europe. There are marketing people and technical support pros, able to solve problems in nearly every European language. Apple first came to Cork in 1980, when Ireland was still a barely developed agrarian country, hemorrhaging ambitious citizens to London, Paris, and New York. This version of Apple, the physical one, deserves no small bit of credit for helping to give birth to the Celtic Tiger, the transformation of Northern Europe's most miserable economy into a prosperous center of finance, manufacturing, and high technology. But there's another Apple that sort of exists in Ireland, and also sort of doesn't. That Apple is the one that is causing some international distress this week. People in the know, there aren't many, simply call it AOI, short for Apple Operations International. And this version of Apple is much harder to pin down. It's something like a quantum corporation whose very nature depends on who is observing it. AOI is, in one sense, huge, among the largest companies that ever existed, with more than $200 billion in assets. It is also as small as a company can be, with no physical address and no employees. Philip Bullock, the head of tax operations for Apple, told a U.S. Senate committee in 2013 that AOI is incorporated in Ireland. Thus, under U.S. law it is not tax resident in the U.S. That seemed clear enough until his next sentence. AOI is also not tax resident in Ireland because it does not meet the fact-specific residency requirements of Irish law. It's Irish, according to American law. Not Irish, according to the Irish. AOI, in fact, does not legally exist anywhere, even as it takes in much of the profits from Apple sales outside of the United States. These sorts of tax avoidance shenanigans have become a source of political fury in the U.S. and much of Europe. The damage done by American firms finding ways to pay, or not pay, taxes in other countries is one of the few issues about which Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump seem to broadly agree. Companies need to exist somewhere, and they have to pay their rightful taxes in the place where they exist. Tax policy should be unequivocal, Newtonian: if you are here, you can't also be not here. The one entity, other than Apple, that didn't see anything wrong with AOI's imprecise relationship to Ireland was the Irish government itself, which had enthusiastically supported Apple's use of its Irish not Irish status to pay no taxes at all. Apple does have much smaller, local subsidiaries that pay an annual tax bill in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Apple executives do say they will pay taxes on all of AOI's wealth one day, most likely whenever the U.S. government reforms its tax code to allow for a less costly return of profits to American shores. Irish authorities have become among the world's leading taxation tinkerers. There's the double Irish with the Dutch sandwich, a complex scheme in which Google and others would form two distinct Irish subsidiaries, a Dutch subsidiary, and another in one of the small island offshore havens. Profits are passed from one subsidiary to the next, moving, on paper, from Ireland to Holland to the Caribbean, then back to Ireland. Ireland isn't alone in creative tax avoidance entrepreneurship. There's also the Singapore sling, the Bermuda black hole, and countless others. This all came to a head this week when the European Commission determined that the Irish government must, even against its will, demand back payment of €13 billion in tax that Apple allegedly avoided paying between 2003 and 2013. The ruling held that Ireland is perfectly free to set its own tax rates but that, in this case, it had done so in violation of European anti-competition laws. The Commission argued that Ireland had, effectively, partnered with Apple in a scheme to harm taxpayers, competing companies, and other European nations. The Irish government and Apple, which have denied making any illegal deals, are expected to begin a series of appeals, and Apple is unlikely to be forced to actually cut a check for years, if at all. Ireland's Finance Minister, Michael Noonan, meanwhile, has warned that if Ireland demanded Apple's money it would be like eating the seed potatoes and destroying the future for people for short-term advantage now. Forced to pay billions, Apple and other large companies might decide to leave Ireland or not to set up business in the first place. Noonan's anxiety makes it hard to see where Ireland is going, economically. Is the Ireland of the real Apple, the physical place with people doing things that produce profit, going to dominate, or will it be the Ireland of tax-free fictions and arbitraging loopholes in a complicated global economy? Ireland's economic transformation in the course of the past 35 years was remarkable in many ways. Up until the early 1980s, Ireland's income per person was one of the lowest in Europe, right alongside Greece's. Unemployment was well above 16% for much of the 1980s. The country's income began to hurtle upward after 1995. Dell, Intel, and Microsoft joined Apple in Ireland. Large pharmaceutical firms also came, and now more than half of Irish exports are pharmaceuticals. At first, these big firms were excited to find people with advanced degrees willing to work at a fraction of what American, French, or German workers are paid. By the early 2000s, Ireland's per capita gross domestic product was higher than that of the US or the UK and fully 130% of the European average. For the first time in Ireland's history, the country experienced net immigration. Alongside the new economy of high-tech and pharmaceutical companies, Ireland continued to develop its agricultural businesses, especially food manufacturing. Ireland is now a major exporter of snack foods and dairy products. For the first few decades, this growth seemed to have been based in something beautiful and right. The Irish had always been highly educated, clever, and hard-working, and they were now earning what they deserved. But, alongside this real economy, Ireland developed a fantasy one, based on exploiting accidental quirks in European and global markets. This helped fuel a local housing and finance bubble that exploded, causing long-term pain. But both before the financial bubble and afterward, Ireland's primary global sales pitch was that the country offered multinational firms a twofer: you can get your tax avoidance and a qualified, English-speaking workforce all at the same time. The Cayman Islands, with a population a tenth the size of Dublin's, can't offer that. Even for companies that don't employ the fancy double Irish-like tax schemes, the country's base corporate rate is 12.5%, one of the lowest in the developed world. And, as the European Commission asserts, the government has long been willing to cooperate with firms that both employ locals and use creative approaches to tax accounting. For the Irish, this has worked out quite well. Apple employs nearly 6,000 people in fairly high-paying jobs. For a country with fewer than 5 million people, this is extraordinary. The equivalent in the U.S. would be a company with 420,000 high-paying jobs. Only Walmart and, arguably, McDonald's have more. Toss in Google, another 6,000 jobs, Intel, 5,200, Microsoft, 2,000, Dell, 2,500, and all the others, and it's clear that Ireland has done very well with this two-pronged plan, an economy built on the simultaneous provision of competitive work and legalistic, tax-avoiding fantasy. Ireland's modern growth came at a relatively benign time in the global economy. Economists and pro-trade activists called it the Great Moderation. The world was going to be more global, richer, happier. Everybody was going to look a lot like Ireland. In that world, who cares if some countries turn a blind eye to tax avoidance schemes? We'll all be richer in the future and can sort the grubby business out later. But things look different now. This has been a brutal summer for Ireland. I visited the country a few weeks ago and kept hearing that Brexit might hurt Ireland far more than it hurts the UK itself. Ireland's economic health is based on its exports, and nearly all of its exports go through England. A post-Brexit England will likely involve trade frictions and complexities that will hurt Ireland. The long-term devaluation of British sterling may hurt Ireland even more, as its export-oriented manufacturers find it hard to compete with cheaper British exports. In this moment of fear, it's understandable that the Irish government is panicking over the Apple ruling, afraid it might be a further inducement for large foreign corporations to abandon the country and send it back to penury. The hardest faith to have, today, is that the future will be better, that steady, broadly shared economic growth will return. This is particularly bad news for smaller countries such as Ireland that have prospered by living on the edges of a growing global economy. Today, the major players, the US, Germany, China, and the UK, don't feel so generous and hopeful. And they get to write the rules. A secure Ireland, one that will be economically healthy for years to come, needs to be built on a real economy, one based on strong investment in innovation, manufacturing, and valuable services that other people want to pay for. This is a demo of voice-text TTS. It needs to be based on things done in Ireland, by people who live in Ireland, who pay Irish taxes.